Hello, everybody. It's James, and it's time for my CEO Jimbo show video. Hope you are going to like this. It's past midnight here on a Monday night. It's 12:15. I guess I would make it Tuesday morning. Again, this one is on Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, which was a Boeing 777 that disappeared about 9 years ago. Um, and I've taken an interest in it. I was going to kind of give you a little bit more of my bio if I haven't on past videos, and why I'm interested in this. Um, and then kind of talk about the work that I've done, some of the things that I've learned in the last 2 weeks since making my last video on this. Um, so it's hot. It's June 11th or 12th, I think it is. 12th, I believe it is. It was like 80 degrees today. There was rain this evening, but it's hot in here. I got my fan on, if you can see that. My air conditioner still isn't installed yet. I have a air conditioner. The building management company is supposed to be putting that in my window for me, but they haven't got around to it yet. So it's kind of hot and sweaty in here, and dealing with that. Anyway, I've got kind of things sprawled out here, and I was going to show you the chapter I've been working on parts all this week. I'm writing a book, as I've mentioned before, and it's in 4 sections. Section 1 is on the witnesses. Section 2 is on the parts. Section 3 is on navigation, which I'm currently calling navigational nuances and subtleties. And Section 4 is on other nuances and subtleties, with sort of an emphasis on communication and timing, and so on. And anyway, this I was hoping to be much farther along on this, but somewhere in my work, and I'll kind of quote that in more detail here, but somewhere in my work, I came up with this kind of visualization of the parts. This is relating to the fire suppression bottle that was found on the Maldives. Um, Oddly, it was found approximately 2 weeks after the aircraft disappeared. And um, what's odd about it is, if you kind of like have been following this, the first official part was found 2 years after the airplane went missing, not 2 weeks. Um, and there's a lot of these things. Somebody, Jeff, I believe his name is first, a news investigator, has kind of put forth that the more you research this, the more weird the whole story gets, and I kind of agree with that. I have hope that this can all get sorted out and the aircraft will get found, but there's some weird things going on. Like, for example, there's sort of like, if you kind of focus on um, the two, the part that was kind of found first per the official record, which was um, there was the flaperon, and there's kind of a controversy as to whether the flaperon was first, or I think it was the wing flap that was found was first. And I think the wing flap got credit for being the first part found because it got turned into the French authorities first, and so the authorities kind of see it as that's the first part that was found. And there's other people that are saying, no, 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 no. You watch this, and it was the flaperon clearly. By date. These people found it on the beach. This, that. It's like a ping pong thing going back and forth. But then, as you research this and you get farther into it, you learn about this fire suppression bottle that was found just 2 weeks afterwards, and so on. And that one's just kind of didn't make the headlines. It didn't make the news, the mainstream media. you have to kind of dig and dig and dig and find out that that thing got found and so on. So anyway, this is kind of a quote on this. Two of them, MH370 fire suppression bottle drift chart. Oh, this is the headline of my thing. I should have underlined that. This is what I tried to do here. And here's based on this quote. Dugain met the mayor of neighboring Barra Island, who showed him pictures of a strange device found on a beach 2 weeks after the plane had disappeared and before the Maldives military seized it. There's two really kind of interesting things in here. This that it was found 2 weeks after. I just mentioned all that the first, if you read like Wikipedia, will say that the first part was found 2 years later and it was the flaperon and so forth. That's kind of odd. And then the military seized it, and so it's like gone. I mean, if you want to like go kind of do some scientific research on this thing, it's almost like the part no longer exists. They may have, even destroyed it. I don't know. And I'm trying to kind of find that out if the part even still exists or whether they have, destroyed it. This one, this mayor, there's a little confusion in this one too. Met the mayor of neighboring Barra Island or whatever that is, who showed him pictures of the device. So my understanding after kind of thinking about this is it sounds like this mayor has photos to show this Dugain, and he did. This guy went to go see this guy who showed him his pictures, and then he came back. And so, and I think that his pictures are maybe the ones that are on the internet. There's, after all of these years, there's like 2 or 3 pictures of this thing and no more than that, that I've found at this point, and so on. So anyway, this possible fire suppression bottle of an aircraft lands on the Maldives, March 20th. A mysterious object, possibly a fire suppression bottle, aircraft washes ashore. That's pretty much the same thing. Same source here. France 24, December 1814. French X airline boss claims cover up on MH370. So, he's saying that. I'm not saying that it was a cover up. I'm just, kind of interested in that this part was found 2 weeks after the disappearance. This is something I made myself, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm really only just starting, but this is kind of the center of the page. And this would be the part, the fire suppression bottle, which was found on Bahrain Island, Barra Island. So this is basically Barra Island, Maldives, with the part on it. And this is Perth, Australia. And I looked online, found several different sources of it here, but this is the one I like the best. Airport Distance Calculator was my source, and they say that it is 6019 kilometers between Mail International Airport and Perth. So that's pretty close. I mean, the international airport at Maldives and the international airport at Perth is 6,019 kilometers and so on. So I made these marks here. This one is the 7th mark. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I had Perth at 8. So this would be the 7th circle or the 7th arc. And it actually, it's kind of roughly right about where the 7th arc of the satellite, Marsat or whatever that thing is, Mar is. And this is sort of a ridiculous map. It's back to the thing here. MH370 fire suppression bottle drift chart sketch is the name of my chart, and so forth. And I haven't done the math. I was trying to do this a few minutes ago, and it's been such a long day. I just really wasn't didn't have the energy to really figure this out, and it seems almost better to just kind of put this off to next time. Let you guys play with it, and I'll show you where I'm at next time or something. But I mean, just guessing beforehand, this is 2 weeks. That like if the airplane, as though the record had it that it had crashed actually just west of Perth on this, it would be on this arc here, the 7th arc. If it had crashed here and the fire suppression bottle popped out of it and it started to float, it would have gone all the way up here. 2 weeks later, it was found here. So, I mean, this is 6,019 kilometers, which is roughly 3,525 miles. So I'm guessing that that's probably pretty fast, that it had to have traveled like 30 to like 100 miles an hour or something like that. Maybe it was only half a mile an hour or something like that, but it seems like it was, I mean, it basically from this arc here, it traveled in 2 weeks. And then was found here on the Maldives. That's what they're saying. So I'm guessing that that's not the case. I'm guessing that it was like more like over here where, Kuala, Lumpur airport is like here, and there's almost a growing body of evidence that the airplane is kind of submerged, kind of near the Andaman Sea Islands or whatever those are, kind of just north and maybe west of the Strait of Malacca and so forth, and that once that sphere got out floating, it basically just floated over here in 2 weeks, and they found it there. That makes sense. This distance just doesn't really make sense to me. But when I do the math, maybe it'll, maybe I'll come up with sort of a different opinion on that. So that's kind of about it. There were other things that I was going to say. The one revelation is I had kind of been relating to this as possibly like maybe, this scenario is similar to the DHL Airbus A300 that got hit by a missile in Baghdad, Iraq, like about maybe 2010 or something like that. That aircraft took a hit on the number 1 left-hand engine, and it ended up doing some wing damage and so forth, and wrecked up maybe a flaperon perhaps on that aircraft, and the crew managed to land using differential thrust. It wrecked up what I believe was hydraulics. I'm pretty sure that that's a hydraulic aircraft. I should know because my company DHL, I used to work for DHL, and I was kind of hopeful that I would get on flying Airbus A300s, and I was trying to learn all I could in the time that I had, spare time to learn. And wish I could tell you, exactly whether it was um, hydraulic or fly-by-wire. But and I'm not sure on the 777, but it kind of changes the picture. And on that, I was working in the last 30 minutes trying to get you a picture on. Oh, I was going to give you my bio. Why I'm interested in this. When I was a youngster, like early college age, I saw a uh, TV. Um, thing on NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board of U.S., and panel discussing decisions on accidents and so forth. And so I wanted to be an accident investigator. And I can't remember if I was flying yet or not, but I ended up flying, flight instructing, towing gliders, this and that. And I started applying for positions with the National Transportation Safety Board, thinking that I was willing to like pick up and move to Washington D.C. and do that there, and so forth. And I was kind of self-studying, trying to turn myself into an accident investigator. I also, as some of you know, flew model airplanes. I started flying radio control gliders when I was, I think, 10 or 11 years old, and my first one quickly turned into a accident investigation. But fortunately no one was hurt. I mean, it's just typical. I tried to launch it and it just crashed, instead of flew kind of thing. And, there I went investigating. So anyway, so I'm getting a kind of a visualization that the thing that kind of is weird is there's almost a growing body of evidence that it was an electrical system fire, that somebody put forth a key investigator, Vance of National Transportation Safety Board of Canada, or whatever that is, seems to think that an alternate hypothesis to the captain going off on a suicidal mission is that there was like a windshield heat fire that may have started that caused loss of radio, loss of transponder, loss of everything else electrical, and that the airplane, even I guess somebody else kind of put forth that maybe it was fly-by-wire and they lost control because it was electrical, and so forth. So the airplane was like flying, around Maldives. It was flying around Andaman Sea, and just finally couldn't get lined up with the runway and just ended up crashing in the water. The thing that doesn't make sense of that is that several witnesses have stated that there was visual fire. I mean, there was like fishermen that said that, no, it was the oil platform worker said that he saw that the aircraft on fire and then the fire went out. The lady in the sailboat said that she saw that it was on fire, and then I think she saw that it was out. And then it flew around the Maldives after that, not on fire. And then somebody saw it very low in the kind of the North Malacca Strait area, again on fire. And they so low that they thought that maybe it either kind of was just really low and disappeared kind of on the horizon, or it crashed or landed on the water. But they weren't certain that it went down, but they were certain that it was low, and they were certain it was on fire. That witness said that it was the right side, the fire was on the right side of the plane, which sort of suggests to me that maybe it was coming out of the engine on the right side, which sort of suggests to me that it was kind of like the DHL flight in Iraq, but instead of the missile hitting the left engine, it hit the right engine. So the fire was coming out of that. But then why would they lose radio contact? That doesn't make any sense. What does kind of make sense, I'm starting to get the picture that the aircraft broke off right here because of the parts. I've been kind of buried in parts in the last 2 weeks, and there was a part of a closet that was found probably from this section of the airplane. I mean, just go in this door and there's kind of this closet around here, and there's a piece from that. There's luggage that possibly is from this flight. Two pieces of luggage, like a Gucci bag and some other unidentifiable brand, and so forth. And so anyway, that bulkhead, that closet part sort of suggests that maybe and the fire suppression bottle is, there's two kind of kinds. There's sort of like a forward lobe kind, and there's like a rear lobe kind, depending on the pressure. And it seems like they should know whether it was a forward one or a rear one from studying it, and they won't tell anybody. But it seems like that information should be able to be found if somebody could just look at that thing, kind of. But if it came out of the nose of the plane, they know it's a nose one. They know that then the airplane probably broke off right here on landing, which kind of suggests MH17 was a Boeing 777, Malaysian Airlines, and it got hit by a missile in where the place where the news is all the time, Russia versus Ukraine. Over in Ukraine, somehow the missile was kind of like had like these motion sensors on it, and it could, like, as the missile was kind of heading to the engine, which was the heat, it was catching the heat of the engine and heading this way. But when it starts getting motion detection that the fuselage is there, it would start shooting these shrapnel parts into the side of the plane. And so the plane if you study that plane a little bit, it almost looks like somebody took a machine gun and just shot this whole area with holes. But they're not bullet holes; they're shrapnel holes from the missile, which then hit the engine and took out the whole airplane. But it killed like the pilot sitting right there, and so on. What I'm kind of putting forth is I would not be surprised if this plane is found with about the same thing here, where a missile hit this engine. And you'll see that this side of the plane is all pucked with what looks like bullet holes, but are not bullet holes. They're missile holes. That would explain why the radio system didn't work, because the shrapnel from the thing would have gone into the radio bay here and taken out all of that. Possibly killed this guy, and maybe this guy lived to fly the plane for several hours or something like that. It hit this engine, and that's why this engine, the oil platform workers saw this engine on fire for a while. Then it kind of went out. And then sometime later, the lady with the sailboat saw this engine on fire, and it went out. And then this airplane flew low around the Maldives, perhaps trying to land at the Maldives, but having serious control problems, and couldn't get lined up with a runway with no radio to tell anybody, that kind of thing. And then ended up kind of down low in the North Malacca Strait area, where the fishermen saw the right engine, smoke and fire coming out of the right engine, low on the water, and think that it either crashed or maybe it kind of limped on. Anyway, that's going to be it. I hope you like this. Please thumbs up, please subscribe, and so forth. Next time, it looks like it's going to be probably more on navigational nuances, because that's just kind of the sequence. And after that, it'll be kind of on other nuances, because I'm writing a book, and I'm kind of telling you what's kind of fresh on my mind from writing the book, and so on. Anyway, have a good day, and be well, and happy flying if you're pilots and passengers and all that kind of stuff. I'm dying to get back in the air doing some flying myself, either gliders or engine-driven planes, passenger on an airliner, whatever. I just go flying. I love flying. Anyway, have a good day. Bye.